Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Tuesday morning trading session. The market's just opened up and it looks like we've got a little bit of a gap to the upside this morning. Again, I'm looking at the NASDAQ here. I'm also following gold and crude oil, but feel free to ask any market that is of interest to you. Let's take a look here at the Raptor, what's been going on, and we're getting a quick rally, it looks like, out of the open. So it looks as though most of that rally came after hours. The market ended up closing down here around the 41.75-ish mark. And then the Asian session took over. And there was a strong rally up until the European session, and then things kind of went more or less sideways. And now we're opening with a rather substantial gap below us. We don't have a signal just yet. Everything is bullish across the board. We did get some signals pre-market here, but we'll allow them a few minutes to get their bearings. Don't want to rush into anything. Although very often that first trade of the day might catch some early momentum. I think given what's been going on the last few days, we might be more bearish than bullish. That's just a gut call. We'll see what the market gives us. I try really hard not to start the day with a bias one way or the other. The reason being, of course, is you can end up blocking opportunities. If you're going to look for opening gaps, well, not only do we have this morning's gap well below the market, well, I can't show you. I'd have to roll back too far, but we've got a huge gap below the market. Here we go. Let's do it like this. So we've got a big gap down here, but we also have a little gap up here, which is yesterday's open. And then, of course, we've got a much more substantial gap way up here, which is around the Brexit open. So I guess I can't show you that all on one chart. So there is room for the market to certainly move to the upside. Markets do have a tendency to fill gaps. Which one is it going to fill first? We'll just hang in here for a little bit, like I said. And right now, the chances, if the market's going to fill the gap below the market, it's probably going to go with, we're probably going to look at going here with the hawk and or the Raptor. The Raptor may give us a soft edge sell signal. Right now, the Raptor, the Falcon, and the Hawk all producing buy signals. So what we could do is we could take a onesie on this and just see whether or not the market's going to continue higher. Now, this is always risky, the first trade of the day when you don't really have your bearings. And all we're doing here is, I threw a single order in, and we're going to see whether or not, okay, I'm going to have to do it like this. so I get an order in play. I want to cover to the hard edge. And we'll just see what kind of follow-through we get here, if any. Gold is pressing hard to the upside, which you think would weigh on the stock indices. But so far, the NASDAQ remains bullish. Still kind of hovering around that opening price. Very tiny little opening range so far. Do you remember those numbers that I mentioned to you yesterday may be influential today? Did anybody write them down? 4220 and 4200. All right, so we're near our break-even trigger. We could roll our stops in below these lows. Come on, buyers, where'd you go? Like I said, we had a comparable signal here on the Falcon, which is just breaking through the primary resistance line. So this is just your basic trend line touch signal. We got the trend change signal here about an hour before the open, followed by a late filter entry signal a few minutes to the open, or perhaps right on the open. And here on the Hawk, I believe it was this one here, the macro pullback signal. All right, I'm going to roll my stops below this bar right here. Oh, actually, I suppose that's close enough now. I can go to break even. There we go. Take that trade up to break even. It makes me wish I did go in with two contracts. I could have taken profit on one and tried to run out the other. Okay, so that first gap was around the 4260 area. I guess we shouldn't be too greedy. Let's throw a sell order in around 4255. Actually better than that. Let me see where the support and resistance lines are at. Oh, not a bad guess, 4255. Resistance actually forecast at 4258. Gold now coming down almost as quickly as it went up, so that may help us out here a little bit. And as we get more open profit, how are we doing now? Yeah, I think it's time to roll into the parabolic phase. Parabolics being a little bit more aggressive. Same thing with the bar high-low strategy, very aggressive strategy. It will take you out on the first sign of weakness in the market. So 4250, I mentioned this the other day, how some of these whole numbers tend to have a little added resistance to them. 4200, 4225, 4250, 4275, 4300. The stock index does tend to move in values of 25 or certainly values of 50. We'll see if they're going to let us ride out this swing or not. A lot of this could be profit taking as well. You know, the NASDAQ has made a very serious move lower, and as such, traders could just be taking some early profits. I almost feel like running this out further, but I think I'll take the profit if they give it to me here. Come on, get going. Giddy up. No, I think they're going to tag us here in a second. Come on, get going. Oh. Okay, so we got a little bigger reaction to 4250 than I was hoping for. And quite honestly, I didn't feel like leaving a lot more in open profit on the table. Yeah, Tony mentioned on this run up that he's waiting for a bull flag on the hawk out of the uptick channel. You got to be a little bit careful though. It does seem like we're very much in a bull market now. You're not going to be the only one waiting for this bull flag. It's not to say the market can't go higher from here. It's just sometimes you miss the move, right? Sometimes the market just goes. And you have to resign yourself to missing out. Now, given that rally, I do believe that the market is in an uptrend today. So let's say this isn't one of our high probability signals, but let's say you took that signal and you're going to try to run it up. You're not just going to take your profit target. Where do you need to run your stop? Well, you probably need to run it fairly deep probably near the low of the day. What would that cost if we ran a single? And it's just that, like I say, I do believe the market is poised to head higher today, unless this is just an early blow-off, which I suppose is possible as well. And the market may turn from here and try to get into that gap that's below the market. Remember, we left off yesterday, what did I say, around 41.75, give or take? So if you venture into this trade, just do it with a single and cover it as deep as you can, because there could be a little bit of flack. Oh, maybe they're not done pressing yet. Well, there they go. So we had another trend line touch here on the Falcon. The problem I'm having here is the same issue I'm having with the Hawk. Where do I cover this trade? Ideally, I want to cover it way, way, way back here. This has got the best structure to it, in that this is where the market started the rally, right? So I know there's active buying down here. I know there's more buying here. I know there's more buying here, and I know there's more buying here. But this is where the buyers really got busy. Problem is, that's out of reach for me. So while it is a doable trade, sometimes you just can't afford it. Look at the Geiger counter here. We're getting a pretty interesting look on the tape. Look at all these little spikes in the buying. Sellers unable to absorb it, and that's probably what led to the move higher, to the rally. Things getting a little bit more even now, however, as it looks like the buyers and sellers a little bit more evenly matched. Yeah, like Tony says, so much for that theory. No, I think you've got the right idea, Tony. I think, buying a hard edge bounce or a red bar buy, I think that's going to be a little bit more probable. You see, you got to try to think of the market like a buyer or a seller. Now, we don't know really the underlying forces of what's driving the market. I have a trading friend who tries to be very fundamental in his analysis. He tries to absorb all this information that's out there, and he tries to get a feel whether the market is more bullish or bearish. I believe that the price on the charts tells you all that information. There's real people putting real money behind this move. So they obviously think the market is bullish. everybody who is just joining the dance now is also looking at this and saying, yeah, this market is bullish. I'm going to buy in. But you don't really want to buy in up here, do you? Because there's a chance that the market may come down. But if the market comes down, say to, I don't know, 42, 44, that may look like a better buying opportunity. The traders who bought early, who bought out of the open, very often don't allow the market a full retrace. You know, they're not going to let the latecomers buy in as at the same price that they bought in at. And likewise, buyers get anxious, right? Traders, shoot. If anybody is anxious, traders are anxious. And you could just hop in here with a buy order at any old place, or this Falcon signal. We had a 3-arrow consolidation here in the Hawk. 1, 2, 3. Normally we get 4, but it does match our consolidation pattern. Had another 3-arrow consolidation here. Another 3-arrow / macro pullback consolidation here. Again, normally we get 4, but you should be alert for the formation itself, not necessarily, you know, does the market give me that 4th arrow or not? So we're into the secondary resistance line now on our support and resistance suite. I think when you're trading too, it's important not to beat yourself up too much. If you miss this move, so what? So you missed the move. Won't be the last one, I can guarantee you that. So on a day like today, I think it's just important to recognize we're in an uptrend. Shoot, they're not going to give me a second chance. I should have been more aggressive on some of these signals. Thrown in another onesie just in case. Well, that's the fun part of trading. You never really know. Wow, right out of of the open. What is it now? It's near the top of the hour, so we'll probably see this rally start to slow as we near the end of opening range. But even so, we've saw the market rally for full half hour, almost a full half hour. Okay, so we're just waiting here. No point in rushing. I'm not so sure that given this strong rally, excuse me, that the bears are necessarily going to make a strong move, but they may be able to toss the market into a sideways range. We'll see. All right, so we've kind of finished opening range now, technically. Yeah, good morning, Derek. Derek says, kind of like stepping in front of a freight train if you're looking to short it. That gap below the open still bothers me a little bit, but I agree. I think this market is very bullish today. We should be looking for buying opportunities. Don't know about buying right here near the high, but let's see. This is going to be a 4-arrow consolidation. Again, the same problem though. Where in the world am I going to cover this trade? How deep can I run my stop? I don't think I can run it deep enough. Even if I go back here, oh, they're going to get up there. Or try anyway. All right, well, here, let's put that away. If you are, looking at that 4-arrow consolidation, it's really tempting to get those stops in so tight. But I think we're going to see a little bit of a deeper pullback, or at least that would make it easier to buy. All right, so here we go. We got a little bit of a pullback. So we're actually getting a soft edge sell here on the Raptor. If you wanted to take the chance to try and sell it back here into the hard edge. So the soft edge sell signal on the Raptor must always, always, always be preceded by a test of the extreme. In this case, a retest of the high. And our target would be down here. It would be around the 4240 area. But as Derek mentioned earlier, it'd almost be like trying to step in front of a train. Yeah, you could be right. Derek says it's almost a perfect dead cat bounce. Now, for those of you who have never heard that before and you think Derek's making something up here, no, it is a real thing. A dead cat bounce is when the market makes a temporary recovery after a swift rally or usually a decline. So essentially what we're talking about is, here's my chalkboard. We all know the NASDAQ's been in a nosedive for the last little bit. And if you imagine a dead cat bouncing off of the floor, I know it's a terrible analogy. I didn't make it up. A dead cat bouncing off of a floor, it would bounce a little bit and then it would go boom, back down, right? It would fall back to the floor at the very least. This is called a dead cat bounce. So if you want to make yourself sound smart to your trading friends or wannabe trading friends, you could say, yeah, the market looks like it's making a dead cat bounce today. Maybe. Get out of town. Derek says he was on his boat yesterday with a cool 120 degrees. Is it that hot in Arizona already? My goodness, we had a beautiful day up here in the Pacific Northwest. It was probably mid-70s. That would be around 25 degrees centigrade. Wow. Yeah, Derek says it's been brutal. It's a little early. Well, no, I guess not. I guess it is just a week before July. This is when you guys get your warm weather, of course. Yeah, Tony says I'm calling animal control. All right, first micro macro cross lower. This is the type of signal, if you're going to take, it's easy to know where to cover, right? We're going to cover above the highs. This is the kind of signal where if you're going to take it, you want to go all in, all out on target. I'm going to show it to you. We've been warned. There's going to be buyers all the way down here as traders try to get a better place to buy in. I think everybody's convinced that it's going to, it looks like a rally day today. At least on the surface right now, it looks like a rally day. Nice thing about this trade, I could pop in here with a single. But the nice thing about this trade is the obvious place to cover, right? If we fill on the short side and we trade above the high, yeah, we're on the wrong side of this equation. Yeah, Derek says it's going to cool off in Arizona to 106 tomorrow. You're going to catch a chill. Make sure you wear a jacket when you go out. Derek says his wife will be wearing a jacket. My goodness, she must have no blood in her veins. I tease my wife about always wearing turtleneck sweaters and socks and like this weather, mid 70s, 25, 30 degrees, that's hot by our standards. I know you guys down in Arizona would find that quite cool. I was speaking to a lady from South Africa the other day. Actually, let me see if she's in the room this morning. Actually, it's been a little while since I spoke to her. I guess it was around the winter time, or what was winter in South Africa. And I asked her what the weather was like, and she says, it's freezing today. It's 19 degrees, and I've got 3 sweaters on, and I got the heat on, and I'm still cold. And I had to laugh because that's what the air conditioning in my car is set at, 19 degrees, which would be like 70 degrees Celsius, or pardon me, Fahrenheit. I guess it's all what you're used to. Yeah, it must not be too hard to pick out the snowbirds down in Arizona, Derek. Derek says, I keep my house at 80 degrees and his wife still walks around with a jacket and sweatpants. The market really taking its time now. Possible trend change signal here on the Falcon. Again, you don't want to get too crazy on the short side. I know somebody's going to write me and say, Eric, I got this trend change signal here on the Falcon. Let me highlight it for you. We've just got the warning dots right now. I've got this trend change signal on the Falcon. How come it didn't work out? You told me this is a trend change signal. Well, you need to take the context into account, right? Don't ignore everything that's to the left of the chart. It sounds like we got a fill on the hawk trade, and we're also into the hard edge on the Raptor, the first hard edge. We'll see whether they try to slip a little bit lower here. $42.40 would be a major retracement for this market. But I think I'd be content with my scalp if I can get it. Derek asks, how come Indicator Warehouse doesn't design NinjaTrader software? The problem with the other trading platforms is that the programming isn't quite as powerful as the programming that NinjaTrader uses. Now, I'm no programmer, so if I get stuff wrong here, don't beat me up. But I think Ninja uses C++ or something like that, and the other charting software uses different programming language that doesn't do everything that our programmers need it to do. That said, they haven't given up on cross-platform software. That's something that Adam's always got in his back pocket. They're always fiddling with it because, of course, TradeStation, NinjaTrader, those are all huge, huge platforms. Okay, we're getting some buying coming back into the market. Yeah, this sell here may turn out to be a bad idea. You see, when the market makes a big run up like this, like it has, you can usually anticipate that you're going to get at least one more rally, right? Everybody that's been waiting to buy in is just looking for a reason. A breakout above the high, retracement back to a Fibonacci level or some obvious support, or in our case, the hard edge of the band. Everybody's just hanging around. Give me a reason. Give me a reason to buy. Okay, so the sellers step back in here now. I may try to get a little bit more aggressive with my stop. I don't want to get tagged on a little hiccup. I was considering rolling my stop in above this little swing here, putting my stop around 42.60. This is where I find it very comforting to know that even if I make a poor decision and don't roll my stop and the market bolts up here and stops me out, I still haven't lost more than I can afford. I'm thinking because there was a little more selling here at 42.60, if we see the market, tag 42.60, 42.61, the sellers may give it one more push. Oh yes, I know, Derek. I know it's a huge client base for NinjaTrader. But like I said, right now the problem is with the programming. We can't get NinjaTrader to do things like the trade manager. So we're getting a little bit of a sideways drift here. You might even look at this as a little bit of a bear flag. 1, 2, 3, working on a 4-arrow consolidation now. Now the 4-arrow consolidation is the only signal I will take off of a yellow bar on the hawk. Derek, you're just bad. All right, so here they are back at 42.60. If the sellers can knock them down here at this point, and by that I mean a bar or two. Yeah, Andrew says we have 3 arrows. Yes, sir, we do. 1, 2, 3. We're working on the 4th. So now we're going to get a green bar sell signal, hopefully. So we've got the warning dot. We're going to get the sell signal unless the buyers totally take the market back at this point. But once again, I would not recommend getting too crazy shorting. I'm pointing this out because really there's nothing else going on. But I'd be looking more for a reason to buy than a reason to sell. You see, part of the reason the market's having such a hard time going lower is every tick down, the buyers are buying. right? The market may be trying to head lower, but the buyers are buying all this way. And if the sellers knock them down again, the buyers will just buy more. Remember how 42.50, how the market reacted? That'll be an important number tomorrow. If we're in the same neighborhood, that is. All right, so now the sellers have recommitted. I'm going to put my stop right above this green bar sell. If it fails at this point, well, then it's probably time to pack up my toys and take my lumps. So we have a 4-arrow consolidation / green bar sell. The 4-arrow consolidation, a very strong signal. I'm not going to mess with it just yet, but it looks like we would be pretty close to our profit objective, somewhere here around the 42. Let's see, where was that line? So we need 42.65 half. So yes, we may have tripped the break even. And Derek says, Derek's watching the ticks. He says they just won't go negative. I'm not surprised. You know, the market is just insanely strong this morning, given the decline of the last 2 days. This is pretty impressive. Come on, get down there. All right, so if you're one to be a little bit more anxious, you could roll your stop above this candle right here with this tall wick. I'm going to go now with my parabolic strategy, which hopefully will keep me far enough back to allow me to see if the market is going to challenge these lows, perhaps make one more attempt lower. Come on. Man, the buyers just won't let it go. Come on, just give me a couple of ticks here. I'm not asking too much. All right, so once again, if you're the anxious type, you see this bar here with this wick, you could roll above there and just take an early stop out if in fact the buyers are going to hang on to this. Come on. Man, the buyers are dug in. There they go, they're trying. I know it's kind of boring, but what else can you do? Okay, it's not looking so good for our trade right now. We're going to tag the parabolics here in a second, but it may be just as well. Yeah, okay, well, not a real surprise there. As I mentioned before, you shouldn't anticipate a full-blown reversal when the market is in this much of an uptrend. It's more likely that if the trend does not continue higher, the market may enter a little bit of a sideways range. All right, it looks as though the Raptor may have given us a double pullback signal here. And we're going to be back here challenging the highs. So nothing, well, crude oil fell off a little bit. I guess here the hawk gave us the best signal on crude. Late first micro macro cross right here. Again, very, very difficult to cover given the structure that we're looking at. Right now we are range bound. Just kind of stuck in this little sideways range. Ho-hum. Okay, here we're getting a with trend signal now, a first micro macro cross higher. This is actually maybe a little bit more promising. The market did not want to go much lower, and we have fairly decent support here now to cover the trade. It is still risky because we're still in this sideways range, and as a rule, we don't usually want to buy near the top end of a range. We prefer to buy near, if the market is sideways, we prefer to buy near the bottom end. But we'll see if the buyers can't muster something up here. And if that signal backs up, well, we'll have to look at adjusting our entry. So it's still a first micro macro cross. All right, let's see what they can do now, if anything. Oh man, there is nothing going on here. So let's see if the buyers come back now, give us that red bar buy. Nope. No, they're not. Shoot. Well, that's what you get when you have a market that's bent on going sideways. All right, well, looks like we're going to drift back here to the hard edge, perhaps. And there's really not much that we can do until we get another decent signal here. You can see the importance of having to run such a deep stop. Like let's say you were looking at one of these eagle signals. Now they're currently against the ATR, which would have been enough to keep me out. But let's say you took one of those signals, you would have to cover, at least to the hard edge, preferably even a little deeper, maybe down here around 42.40. And Trade Manager says, no, sorry, Eric. You just can't do that right now. right, well, maybe we'll get a first micro-macro cross lower here, but like I said, I'm not all that keen on shorting anything right now. Robert, sorry, I'm a little bit behind here on my messages. I've been snooping around for something that might be worth trading, but we're kind of shut out here at the moment. Robert asks, who is Derek to Indicator Warehouse? Derek is one of our DTS owners. And how long have you been a DTS owner, Derek? It's got to be a couple of years now, I think. Derek says he just shorted the British pound for 50 ticks. A little bit of a downside move there. That British pound, I tell you, that's going to be a mess for a while until they get their bearings. All right, here's a first micro-macro cross lower. Now, the upshot to this particular signal is that we are outside of this trading range. And remember how I tell you, you want to wait for the market to come outside of the range, retest it, and then look for that signal. Well, that's what we got going on right now. We're getting the retest. The signal's going to print right there. Oops, it's backing up a little bit. Signal's going to print right here. And stops should go above the top end of the trading range. It's okay if it drifts a little bit into the range. Remember, these things are not, carved in stone. You can't treat them ultra precise. So long as it looks like it's reacting to this zone, that's close enough. And we're just not getting anything. Well, how are we doing here? The market might loosen up a little bit in the afternoon. Okay, we're into a macro pullback now here on the hawk. This is really what I would consider as deep a pullback as I would tolerate on the signal. As if it gets any higher than this, well then all we've done is expand the trading range. And we would anticipate a move to the top end. I've currently got 2 contracts in here. I would probably go to just throw a single on there, just given that the market seems to be reluctant with the follow-through. All right, here we go. Come on, get that break-even trigger. They're just not giving us anything here today. It's brutal. The really big stop is going to be helpful, but honestly, it's a tough day to trade. All the action came in early, and now we're just kind of looking to pick up little bits here and there. I think we'll nurse this trade a little bit, and then we'll probably call it a day. Just looking for some selling to resume. Now that we've broken the low here, now that we've broken through there, we should expect one more move lower. So that's why I'm not panicking on my stop. When the market breaks a significant swing high or low, you can normally anticipate two moves in the direction of the breakout. So there's move number one, waiting on move number two. Don't know how big it's going to be. But the market does owe me one more. Gold all over the map today too. Here's gold on the eagle. So the market had an early rally and then came back just as quickly. I know the eagle doesn't really show you many good signals here. I'm showing you the eagle just because it highlights the best what's going on here. We actually did get signals on the hawk and the falcon. But the big run up, the big run down, and now it's just kind of blah. But here too, this current rally has the look of a bear flag to it. So if you get a green bar sell here off of the hard edge, it may be worth trying to sell it and at the very least looking for the market to retest the lows. The other thing that may be happening here is that we could be getting a rule of three signal. We have one signal against the hard edge, two signals against the hard edge, but before we get that third signal, or before it becomes a rule of three signal, we do need a retest of the low. So it looks like gold setting up for at least a few ticks to the downside. Well, the NASDAQ just kind of moseying along here. I think we're going to button up the trading room. If you are going to continue trading this afternoon, look for another rally. Look for the market to try to recover back at least to the highs of the day. Like I said, we shouldn't anticipate that the bears are going to give us a full-blown reversal, but they may be able to put the market into a sideways range, in which case you would be looking for the market to recover back up here to the 42.65-ish area. All right, but for the time being, the market does owe us one more move lower. We're getting a green bar sell, so if you're not already short, this would be probably a decent signal to try to sell. All right, you guys and girls, sorry there wasn't much more going on today. Hopefully tomorrow, a quick reminder, tomorrow is our open house venue. We're going to meet at the alternate location, and yeah, maybe the market will be a little bit more cooperative. We'll talk to you then. Bye for now.